Hey guys, welcome to Indie Game Hustle. My name is Charles, and in this video, we're going to take a look at a new asset, and this asset is called UModeler. UModeler is very similar to Probuilder, and it's basically gives you the ability to block out your scenes, model your scenes, and texture your scenes, that sort of thing, in terms of all your buildings and your ground and your walls, whatever. So it's pretty much very similar to Probuilder, but UModeler has a few different tools that I personally really enjoy using. And so I wanted to kind of start utilizing it in my scenes. And in this particular scene, what I want to do is create a test scene. This isn't a full level, just something so that we can start testing out some things in the near future. So like what I talked about in the last video was our player spawning and getting ready for level checkpoints, that sort of thing. So with that said, if you're using Probuilder, please continue using Probuilder. I'm going to use UModeler, but you're going to see it's very similar, and so you won't see a huge difference. It's really going to come down to certain tools that UModeler is kind of exclusive, or it only works because UModeler has that tool. Anyway, so use Probuilder, you're good, continue to use it. If you have questions about how to use Probuilder, you can ask me in the comments. Of course, I have videos on how to use Probuilder, so that's pretty helpful as well, but I also have some videos on UModeler. So this isn't necessarily a UModeler tutorial, but it is letting you know which direction I'm going. So with that said, let me go ahead and get that installed into the project. So what I'm going to do is head over to the package manager here. So I'm going to go to package manager, and here it says in project. So I'm going to change this to my assets, and it's going to fetch. But if you're not familiar with UModeler, let me just show you what that looks like. And as you can see here, this is kind of what UModeler looks like. So you would just search UModeler in the asset store. And this is it here. I'm not going to click on the video. It looks like if I click here, and I'll just kind of give you a gist. So yeah, it looks like they have this here, and this is what it looks like. Looks like that's the current pricing for it. Like I said, you don't have to go and purchase it right now. You can just kind of see, if you decide to, you can just take a look at my videos and see if that's something you want to go with. But I definitely think it's worth it. It has a lot of really good tools, and it actually works really well alongside Probuilder. So if you have need for both, you can do that, and that's really awesome. So I've already obviously got this downloaded in terms of my account, so I'm just going to go ahead and reduce that. I'm just going to go into modeler, and I'm just going to go ahead and do an import, or actually I'm going to do an update because it looks like there's been some updates. So I'm going to hit update there, and we're just going to wait for that to continue complete. All right, it looks like it's completed. All right, great. And so next thing we want to do is import. All right, and so once you hit import, you'll see something like this. And so what I'll just go ahead and do is hit import and give that some time to import. Shouldn't take too long. All right, and so it looks like we're all set there. Just give it some time to install, and we're good to go. So we're just going to hit X here, and I'm going to go to my console and clear out any warning signs here. All right, so it looks like we should have UModeler installed. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and close this tab here. Actually, I'll leave it open so that we can compare just a little bit here. And so what I'll do is go to Tools, UModeler, and then I'll go to UModeler window. All right, great. And so what I'll do is go ahead and put that here. All right, so as you can see, you can use both if you want to. There's nothing wrong with having both here. And of course, we have our UModeler tool. So if I was to click that, we should be good to go. We have all types of things we need here. And even though we have our bar here, we also still have the Probuilder bar here. So it just gives you so much to use at your disposal. But of course, we will not use both here. So in this case anyway. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this and close this tab. And so now with that tab closed, we only have the UModeler at the very top. All right, great. So there is a couple settings I want to go ahead and set for UModeler. So what I want to do is head over to the UModeler tools and go to preferences actually, and I want to set a couple things up. All right, and so the things I want to change is, and I think it may actually already be set up, but let me just double check. So I'm going to go to my preferences here, of course, and go down to miscellaneous, and where it says UModeler tool, I'm going to change this to the key Shift and S. And so that allows me to create a new UModeler tool by hitting those two keys together. If you don't have that set up, I would definitely recommend doing that because it's super useful. And let me show you really quick why that is. And I do have this in another video, but so basically, let me go ahead and close this for a moment. So in this scene, if I were to do a Control D is basically a deselects, not Control, but Shift D is going to deselect everything in the scene. And then if I would do a Shift S, now we are getting ready to create a UModeler or using the new UModeler tool. Okay, and that's that tool there. So if I click and drag, we're going to create that tool. Now, of course, it's going to be pink, and that's the reason is, as we've already known, we need to go ahead and change our materials to URP or the new render pipeline. So what I'll go ahead and do is delete this. So I'm going to select this object tool here, hit delete, and then I'm going to head over to edit, and then I'm going to go to render pipeline, universal render pipeline, and I'm going to upgrade all the materials to this. Okay, so go ahead and hit proceed and wait for that to complete. So that should have done the job. And so what I'll do is do a Shift D, Shift S, and then I'm going ahead and create. And as you can see now, our material is working properly. And so this material is the default material that UModeler comes with. Now I tend to always change this, and so I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So let's go ahead and do it. So what I want you to do is to head over to the website Kenny, and Kenny has some pretty awesome stuff, but what I typically always use is the prototype textures here. So what you want to do is go ahead and download these and then put these in your profile or inside of one of your folders. And so as you can see, this is kind of what we're looking at here. And so these are really nice. So if you ever need to have something a little bit more, I guess, unique or just different, this works really well. So what I'm going to do is download this and then install them into my project in a second here. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit download. And of course, you can read those things. I'm just going to go ahead and get that downloaded. And as you can see up here, it's already getting downloaded there. So I'm just going to go ahead and search that. So go ahead and install that, export it, extract it, and then go ahead and install that into a folder on your Unity project. All right, so inside your Unity project, you can create a folder. You can put it in 3D assets. I would probably maybe recommend creating a textures folder or putting it in a materials folder. It's definitely up to you. We all organize a little different, but definitely be organized. So I would say for now, what I'll do is go ahead and inside my materials, I'll right click and I'll create a folder called, I would say called textures, but you know what? I think I'm going to create a folder here called 2D assets, and we'll do that. So 2D assets, that's fine. And so that works. And then, so I'm going to drag that Kenny's folder into this, into that folder, into this. So I'm going to click and drag it from my file into here. And it's going to upload every single texture there. So we'll go ahead and let that do it. All right, and so that's all done. And if we look inside this folder, we have all types of things here, but really the most important is going to be all these different PNGs and textures and everything that we have. So that's good to go. Now, so what I want to do now is change the default texture. All right, so of course we can create a material and assign it, but what I want to do is go to Tools, UModeler, and I'm going to Preferences. And inside the Preferences, this is where you change the default material. So what I want to do is first locate where this UModeler grid is, and that's where that grid is. Now I could change this directly, but what I want to do is actually create my own material. So what I'll actually do is go to my assets folder, go to Project Robot Boy, materials, and then I'll just call this a new material, and I'll just call it new grid, or IGH underscore grid, and we'll do that. Okay, great. So now that we have that grid, let me just move this off the screen for a second. We have that. So here for the base map, what I'll do is go ahead and select this, and now we're going to look for and type in the word grid here. And it looks like we have a few things, but what I want to do is search this way. So they're in here somewhere. There we go. All right, great. So there's a lot that we can choose from, but I typically choose either this texture 01, or I will choose something like texture 03, and we can kind of play with that. So I will probably just, for now, I will go with texture 03 and just see how that looks. All right, so now I change this to that. And so now on my UModeler preferences, I'm gonna drag this into the default material. Great. All right, great. And so you don't have to change this one. This is an invisible grid, so that's, we can use that for something else. But for now, this is the IGH grid that we just created. So I'll move that off. And so now let's create another object. So like I said, Shift D, deselect, Shift S. And so I'll do that. And as you can see now, we have a new grid. And so that's what we'll be using to kind of build this thing out. All right, and so I'll just go ahead and delete that. And so that's now working perfectly. All right. All right. So what we're gonna do now is basically just build out something basic. We want a area of this level, or this little test scene or test area, for our player to go from one spot to the next. So to do that, I'm just going to begin by putting it this way. Now, in terms of this 3D platformer, he's going to be able to kind of walk around in every space. So he'll be going forward. It's not going to just be left and right, but in and out the scene. So what I'll do is, and again, this is just a test scene. I'm going to do a Control D to make sure I'm not selecting anything, and I'm not Control, Shift D, then a Shift S, and then I'm just going to go ahead and create something here, just like so. All right, great. Now it doesn't look like it is snapping, right? So what I'm going to do is go here, settings, and then it's snapping, but I want like it to snap maybe on a 0.5, right? So it's going to be a little better. And then I can select Shift 3, or I can just select the Faces tool, and I can move this up like so. So what I'll do is go ahead and delete it and do it again. Shift D, Shift S. And so now we're kind of snapping to the grid. And I'll do something like this. Great. All right. So right now our object is still selected. And so what I want to do is do a Shift D and then a Shift S. And I'll go ahead and do something like this. All right, great. And this is the part that I was saying, like it has a different tool set. It's very similar, again, like I said, to Probuilder, but the ability to kind of draw out your object and have objects kind of off of there. As you can see, it's very quick and easy, and so that's why I like it. All right, so we want our player to kind of start here and then go in this direction, okay? And then so what I'll do is do a Shift D, Shift S, and I'm gonna do another plane here. So let's do something like this. And I'll just make it come up like that. Cool. And that works out pretty fine. Nothing's fancy there. All right, cool. So we'll have our player start here, and maybe this will be a save spot, or not a save spot, but like a checkpoint. And then when he gets to another space, we do that somewhere else. So I can do a control copy paste and just move that there. All right, cool. All right, great. And I think what I'll do is I'll have an area for our enemies to kind of be. So what I'll do is create another area over here, and I will make it a little larger, just like so. And I'll move that here like so. And if we want it to be flush with that scene, we just pop that up like so. Great. And we don't have to get rid of any of these things. We can just kind of leave this here if you want. All right. And so the next thing I want to do is go ahead and just quickly create some type of wall, just like we did here. We'll just do that here. So I'll do Shift D, Shift S, and as you can see, it's kind of snapping to where this is. So I'm gonna kind of click there. Looks like that. So what I'll do is start over and do just like that. Cool. Actually, it looks like I messed that up. Let's do it again. And then I'll just go ahead and drag that over just like that. All right. So now without doing a Shift D, what I'll do is a Shift S. And so I should be still selected to that object. And then I'm going to do another Shift S. And then I'll do it again. And so we just created a little wall there, and same thing there. Cool. All right, so we can just keep creating just like that. And so now, as you can see, those pieces are just kind of all one piece because we didn't deselect. So it works out pretty good. It's not bad. All right, cool. So we have our little layout there. It's not super grand or anything just yet. So what we're going to do is move these enemies over here. All right, so what I want to do is grab this enemy and the spider, and I'm going to put them in this area. And it looks like we're a little higher, so we'll just put them just like that. And of course, these markers, we need to move those markers. Now the boss is there too. Can't forget the boss. We're gonna put him over in the same similar spot, maybe just like that. And then in terms of the markers that they were running to, we're gonna take those markers and move them over there too. And bring those up. And I want to take this marker and move it back like so. And looks like the boss is underneath, so bring him up. All right, great. All right, so that's where our newfound guys are gonna be. And I'll just go ahead and delete this. and then I'll create a path from here to there. All right. So I'll just do a Shift D, Shift S. And as you can see, I'm just kind of creating a path there. And then I'll go ahead and select the edge and bring it out like so. All right. So there you have it. So we just have something that we can use to do that. So I can start using UModeler. And of course, you can do all of these things with Probuilder. And so, of course, do that. All right, great. All right, so I just wanted to get us set up and ready to go with this. And so in our next video, we're going to start talking about the player death and setting up a checkpoint and all of those different things so that it will make complete sense. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. To stay up to date on the latest 3D platforming tutorial, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support, you can find me on Patreon, or of course you can hit me up on Discord. I like to talk about whatever project you guys are working on. Of course, thanks for hanging with me. Your support is always appreciated. As always, remember, never give up and keep moving forward. Peace.